What if I told you a Washington quarter sitting in your pocket right now could be worth up to millions of dollars, but these coins are 100% real, and today, we're revealing the top 4 most rare and valuable Washington quarter dollars ever discovered. These quarters are not just coins. They're treasures hiding in plain sight. Moneybag, one of these quarters sold for nearly $1.5 million, and the best part? We're diving deep into the astonishing history, shocking mint mistake, and jaw-dropping value of the 1965-era Washington quarter dollar. Stick around because by the end of this video, you might just be checking your coin jar with a brand new obsession. That's right, a 25-cent piece accidentally made with the wrong metal, hidden in plain sight, is now one of the most valuable US coins ever found in circulation. To truly understand why this 1965-era quarter is so rare, we need to rewind to a pivotal moment in US minting history. The Washington quarter, first minted in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday, was traditionally struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. These quarters carried real intrinsic value until rising silver prices in the early 1960s created a serious problem. By 1964, the value of silver was climbing dangerously close to the face value of the coins, and the US Mint feared hoarding would drain the nation's coin supply. The solution? Remove silver from circulating coins. The most valuable and errors 1965 Washington quarter dollar, silver planchet error wrong planchet, circulated, $3,000 to $7,000 plus. Uncirculated, $10,000 to $16,000 plus. Highest auction, over $12,000 at Heritage Auctions. Double die obverse, DDO. Minor DDO, $75 to $250. Major DDO, sharper doubling $500 to $1,500 plus. Clipped planchet error. Small clip, $30 to $100. Large or multiple clips, $150 to $400. Off-center strike. 5% to 10% off, $50 to $100, 50% or more off with full date, $300 to $700 plus. Wrong planchet error, common foreign planchets, $500 to $2,000. Rare compositions, up to $5,000 plus. How you can potentially turn a 1965 Washington quarter into a fortune. Search for the rare 1965 silver quarter. In 1965, the US Mint switched from 90% silver to a copper-nickel clad composition for quarters. However, a few 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These are transitional errors and extremely rare. Weight test, silver quarter, 6.25 grams. Clad quarter, 5.67 grams. Use a precise scale to weigh your coin. Sound test, tap it gently with another coin. Silver has a higher pitched, ringing sound. Edge check, a clad coin has a copper-colored edge. A silver coin's edge is all silver with no copper strip. Value, confirmed silver 1965 quarters have sold for $7,000 to over $16,000 at auction. Look for major error coins. Collectors pay top dollar for mint errors. Look for double dies, especially on In God We Trust or Liberty. Off-center strikes. Broad strikes. Wrong planchet errors, e.g. quarter struck on a dime or foreign coin planchet. Clipped planchets. Missing clad layer. Examples, a 1965 quarter struck on a dime planchet, $5,000 plus. Major off-center errors, $200 to $1,500. Double die obverse, very rare for 1965 varies $500 to $2,000 plus. Get it certified. If you suspect you have a rare or error coin, submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service. NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company. A certified and graded coin fetches far higher value on the market. Check recent sales. Look up recent eBay or auction sales of 1965 era quarters. Use this to gauge value before selling. Examples, eBay, sold listings, filter. Heritage auctions. Great collections. How to identify the 1965 Washington quarter dollar. So how can you tell if your 1965 quarter is worth $400,000? Hold on to your coin jars and check your pockets, because one ordinary looking quarter from 1983 could be worth more than a brand new sports car or even a small house. Yes, you heard that right. The 1983 P. Washington quarter, an everyday coin, could sell for anywhere between $123,000 to a jaw-dropping $300,000. In this video, we're diving into one of the most shocking coin discoveries in U.S. numismatic history. I'm going to reveal the fascinating story behind this coin, the rare error that makes it worth a fortune, and how you could be the next lucky person to find one hiding in plain sight. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. By 1983, it had become a staple in every American's pocket, purse, and piggy bank. But 1983 was no ordinary year for coin collectors. The 1983 P. Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, would go on to make numismatic history. Not because of what it was supposed to be, but because of what went wrong. In 1982 and 1983, the U.S. Mint didn't release uncirculated mint sets for collectors, which meant that all quarters from those years came only from circulation. That alone made high-grade examples harder to find, but then something else happened. Some 1983 P quarters were struck with a major minting error, and I'm not talking about a small misprint or a die chip. I'm talking about a dramatic reverse strike error, known famously as the 1983 P. Washington quarter with reverse die clash and missing ridges, or more commonly the spitting eagle error. What is the spitting eagle error? On the reverse side, right near the eagle's beak, there's a line that looks like the eagle is spitting. It's actually a die clash mark, a mistake that happens when the dies hit each other without a planchet, blank coin, between them, leaving unintended marks. This bizarre mark, along with other potential errors like double dies, off-center strikes, and missing clad layers, turns some of these coins into mega-rarities. Collision top error varieties of the 1983 P. Washington quarter. Each of these rare errors could mean serious money in your pocket. Spitting eagle, die clash error. What to look for. On the reverse, a visible raised line extends from the eagle's beak, making it look like it's spitting. Circulated, XF/AU $150 to $500. Uncirculated, MS65 plus $1,000 to $3,000. With full clash plus gem condition, MS67 up to $15,000 plus. Missing clad layer, obverse or reverse. What to look for. One side appears coppery or reddish brown. That's the exposed copper core. Common grades, $800 to $2,500. MS65 plus examples, $5,000 to $9,000. Top pop with dramatic strike through, $12,000 plus. Double die reverse, DDR. Moderate doubling, $100 to $500. Strong DDR in MS condition, $2,500 to $10,000. Rare DDR plus spitting eagle combo, $15,000 to $30,000. Off-center strike. What to look for. Part of the design is missing or shifted, planchet wasn't properly aligned during strike. 5 to 10% off-center, $200 to $400. 25 to 50% off-center, with full date visible $1,500 to $4,000. Extreme off-center plus mint state, $5,000 plus. Broad strike error. What to look for. Coin is wider and flatter with no reeded edge, struck outside the collar. Value. XF/O, $150 to $300. MS60 plus, $800 to $2,000. Strike-through errors. What to look for. Objects like cloth, grease, or metal shavings caused unusual surface marks or design weakness. Value. Minor strike-through, $50 to $150. Dramatic and well-centered, $1,000 to $4,000. Rotated die alignment. Hold on to your seats, because one ordinary-looking quarter from 1982 P. Washington quarter dollar could be worth more than a brand new sports car or even a small house, because what I'm about to show you will absolutely blow your mind. Imagine walking into your local gas station, handing over a quarter for a candy bar, and later finding out that quarter was worth up to $350,000. That's not a dream. It's a chilling, thrilling reality in the world of numismatics. You heard me right, One single 1982 Washington quarter dollar with a rare, barely detectable mint error has stunned collectors by fetching between $150,000 and $350,000 at high-stakes auctions. How could something so common be worth more than a brand new Ferrari? What secret error turned this everyday coin into one of the most coveted and mysterious treasures in U.S. coin history? Stick with me, because in the next few minutes, we'll uncover the untold story of the 1982 era Washington quarter, its secret origins, the types of errors that make it a jackpot for collectors, and how you might unknowingly have one sitting in your pocket change right now. Let's dive in before another one sells for six figures, because this is one numismatic ride you'll never forget. Background: the year is 1982. America is deep in a recession. Gas prices are up. Inflation is squeezing the middle class. The U.S. Mint is cutting costs anywhere it can, including on coins. In a bold cost-saving move, the Mint decides to stop producing proof sets and mint sets for the first time in years. That's right, no uncirculated mint sets were officially released in 1982. Collectors were left scrambling to find high-quality examples of circulating coins, and as a result, 1982 coins were often beaten up in circulation, making pristine examples all the rarer. To add to the confusion, 1982 was also a transition year for planchet compositions and die modifications, especially between the quarter and penny. Errors were bound to happen, and boy, did they ever. One of those errors would go down in history as one of the most lucrative coin mistakes ever made. Let's talk about the star of today's show, the 1982 P. Washington quarter dollar. The regular version features George Washington on the obverse, and an eagle on the reverse, with the P mint mark indicating it was minted in Philadelphia. Now, the Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks before 1980. The 1982 P quarter is still relatively common in worn condition, but this year's coin is the breeding ground for numerous rare errors that slipped past quality control due to cost-cutting and reduced staff. And one particular error variety, well, that's where things get wild. 1982 P. Washington quarter error varieties and big values. When we're talking about the 1982 P. Washington quarter, we're not talking about just one error. Oh no, this year is a minefield of minting chaos, and if you know what to look for, you could be staring at a fortune worth up to $350,000. Let's break down the most valuable and dramatic error varieties from 1982, especially from the Philadelphia Mint. Wrong planchet errors, the $350,000 jackpot, the Holy Grail. Some 1982 P quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets, blanks intended for earlier coinage. These coins look nearly identical to regular clad quarters unless carefully weighed or analyzed. White heavy checkmark key trade. They weigh 6.25 grams, silver, instead of the normal 5.67 grams. MS65 silver planchet error, $155,250. MS67 plus with silver planchet and exceptional strike, $250,000 to $350,000, private sale in 2024. Important, these errors often don't show any visible signs beyond the missing copper edge and heavier weight. Double die obverse, DDO. Double dies occur when the die used to strike the coin has been improperly hubbed, resulting in noticeable doubling in the coin's design. The 1976 bicentennial quarter dollar became a collector's ultimate dream due to rare and shocking mint errors. Because one ordinary-looking quarter from 1976 Washington quarter dollar could be worth more than a brand new sports car or even a small house, we're talking double strikes, off-metal planchets, dramatic misalignments, and proof coins that never should have been released to the public. The most valuable and mysterious bicentennial quarter errors ever discovered. Stay till the end, because we'll cover how one of these coins shattered auction records and how you can tell if your quarter is worth a fortune. Background: the year was 1976, America's Grand Bicentennial, a celebration marking 200 years of independence. To commemorate this historic milestone, the U.S. Mint did something truly special. They redesigned the reverse of the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coin. For the quarter, out went the familiar eagle reverse, and in came a bold new image, a colonial drummer standing proudly with a victory torch surrounded by 13 stars. The obverse still showed George Washington, but the date now read 1776 to 1976 inch, a dual date design never before used on circulating U.S. quarters. But while millions of these were produced, a tiny handful escaped with major, mind-blowing mint errors that turned this patriotic coin into a jackpot for collectors. Of rare bicentennial quarter errors, let's break down the most valuable and rare error types found on 1976 bicentennial quarters, the ones that sell for six-figure prices. Double struck and misaligned die errors. Up to $200,000 add and off-center strikes and misaligned dies, and you're talking about a once-in-a-lifetime mint error. One spectacular double-struck off-metal bicentennial quarter sold for a staggering $168,000 due to its visual drama and extreme rarity. Off-metal planchet errors. $150,000 to $250,000. Some of the rarest bicentennial quarters were struck on planchets, blanks, intended for other coins. Example, a 1976 D bicentennial quarter struck on a 40% silver planchet intended for the collector Eisenhower dollars. Proof errors that escaped into circulation $100,000 to $200,000. These coins have deep cameo contrast, sharp edges, and were never meant to be spent. Their accidental circulation makes them ultra-rare. Some of these circulated proof errors have sold for over $120,000, especially if they are in high-grade condition and certified. Wrong planchet wrong design combo, up to $350,000. These coins have fetched up to $350,000 at top-tier auctions due to their impossible origins, authenticated by major grading companies like PCGS and NGC. The missing clad layer error. A bicentennial quarter missing the entire obverse clad layer recently sold for over $12,000 to $13,000, and higher grade versions can easily fetch 5 figures. How to identify a 1976 bicentennial quarter dollar? You might be wondering, could I actually have one of these? Here's what to look for in your 1976 bicentennial quarters. Check the weight. Use a precise digital scale. Normal copper-nickel quarters weigh 5.67 grams, while silver-clad versions weigh 5.75 grams. If yours weighs more or significantly less, it could be struck on the wrong planchet. Look for off-center designs. Is the drummer boy pushed to the side? Is part of the date missing? That could be a double strike or misalignment error. Missing clad layer. If your coin looks bronze or dull copper instead of shiny silver, it might be missing a layer. These errors are visually obvious but easily overlooked in circulated coins. Silver sound test. Tap the coin gently and listen. Silver coins produce a distinct high-pitched ring, while clad coins sound dull. If it rings like a bell, get it tested. Grading and authentication. If your coin looks suspiciously rare, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade boosts trust and value and can unlock its full potential at auction. The auction record sales. Let's talk real numbers. Here are just a few of the most mind-blowing bicentennial quarter sales on record. 1976 bicentennial quarter struck on 40% silver planchet at Philadelphia Mint. Sold for $175,000. 1976 D bicentennial quarter with major off-center double strike, MS65. Sold for $20,400. 1976 quarter missing obverse clad layer, copper core visible, MS64. Sold for $12,650. 1976 quarter struck on dime planchet, MS66. Sold for $155,250. 1976 quarter with multiple errors, including broad strike and off-metal planchet, PCGS MS67. Estimated value, $250,000 to $300,000. These aren't just random outliers, they're part of a growing pattern in the numismatic market, where rare error coins are exploding in value due to increased collector demand. Tips for collecting the 1976 bicentennial quarter. Know the market. Regular clad coins aren't rare, condition and rarity make the value.